So coming back to my situation with the setting up my own practice and the requirement to upskill, I joined the Private Practitioners Association and I also joined the Manip Therapists Association. And in those days they had a very robust system of having a conference/AGM once a year, usually in those early days in Taupo. And there was a fairly smallish group, and the Manip therapists would have a meeting one day and the private practitioners the other, and there would be some clinical, technical practice. And there was also an awful lot of practice of sociability and quenching of thirst that went on as well. They were hugely successful seminars and meetings, sometimes held at Manuel's in Taupo. Some of the stories probably don't bear repeating. However, there was one momentous occasion where a particular female of the profession, who I won't name, but had a certain reputation along this line, and there was a group of us sitting around the pool in the evening, and we'd had a few libations after the annual general meeting, which obviously went on forever, and trying to catch up with things, and the sun had set and she was swimming around in the pool, and she'd come up to the various guys and wink and say, "What winks and does something like a tiger?" When she was told to bugger off, would go on and try the next one. And my wife still dines out on that story. It was one of those quirks that used to occur under those circumstances. It was quite funny, actually, but there are probably stories there that don't bear repeating, and I'm sure that there are some people in this building that don't need to have some of them repeated either. But they were great social activities, they were great social occasions, where I think the fabric of the profession, that part of the profession, got together and built huge relationships to allow the ongoing professional development between each other, the knowing how people think, how people work, and so forth. It was an important part of the fabric of physiotherapy. Those parties in spa pools, the occasional hiccup with the proprietors on one occasion. In fact, I do recall the chairman of the president of the Physiotherapy Society had to go up to Rotorua and apologise profusely for the behaviour of some of the profession in that particular establishment, and they were banned forevermore from using that establishment in Rotorua. So, they were interesting times. They were certainly colourful times. Sometimes not necessarily the right ones, but by and large it was a good time and a very useful time. The Manip therapists pushed ahead, and they obviously became bigger and bigger, and their organisation required them to have their own weekends, so the two parties sort of agreed to split and have 2 weekends, which was good because most of us who were members of private practitioners and Manip therapists then got 2 bites at the cherry to have 2 weekends away. So was good. I presume today that they still have the occasional hurrah or whatever. But when you remember seeing Robin Mackenzie hanging out of an upstairs bedroom, a bathroom window with a half-shaven face and looking quite, shall we say, not sprightly the following morning, and you think to yourself, yeah, that wasn't a bad weekend after all. Or Brian Mulligan chirping about and writing down his jokes that he used to write down anywhere he could on paper napkins on the corner of his paper, wherever he heard a joke, he would write it down so he could incorporate it in his lectures and so forth. There's the memories that stick with you, the human memories of those occasions. But as I say, they also served, I think, in terms of the professional development, going on from there to where it is at the stage.